I'm definitely just, like, more physically present, which just means that I'm, you know, like, I'm more aware and it affects me. And it doesn't really help, like that alone isn't terrible, but it doesn't really help because, like, with this new job. So, it's my new job. I work with people that have experienced chronic homelessness coupled with, like, persistent mental illness, and I'm focused more on, like, housing. So I help them obtain housing, maintain housing, because typically most of my clients, like, were homeless for, like, 5 years, and they, like, don't know what bills are, or they got to this point where, like, they don't feel like paying bills. They're just kind of like, when I was homeless, I just needed to worry about what I was going to eat and drink, not about electricity bills and fees and things like that. So that's most of my work, and I love it. I love being able to help people, but I think it's just really stressful because it's, like, not always, but a lot of time it's a lot of conflict, like, whether that's between my client and someone that lives in their complex, or between my client and property management, or between my client and Social Security, or whatever system is just messing with my client at that moment. And so it's just, like, doesn't really help when I come home to conflict, because, like, when I come home, I want to, like, relax and chill. But yeah, it's just, like, it's rough. It's rough.
So tell me a little bit more about the conflict that you're feeling at work.
So with work, thankfully, like, I have my supervisor and I have, like, my team to talk to. But it's just, like, with work, my clients just, like, they face so many different issues. So it could be an issue of, I have a client who has substance abuse problems, and they're like, I can't pay for rent this month because I bought drugs. And so then it's just like, and then while they're saying that, they might even feel like they shouldn't even have to owe rent. Mm-hmm. Like, they just want to be happy with their life. They don't even care about rent. And so it's just like, I don't know. It's really weird to explain, I guess. But just, like, a lot of, like, different, like, working variables and dynamics. And so it's just, like, it's kind of stressful. Like, one, just basically helping people stay housed, like, just from a strict, like, documentation, like, making sure that we stay in contact with the Social Security office and with the housing authority, but also just, like, dealing with, like, their emotions and just, like, helping them, like living skills training, like, you know, like, if they want to start working, I have to, like, teach them how to ride the bus, and sometimes that's just stressful. And it's, like, it's cool. And like I said earlier, like, I'm glad that I have, like, my supervisor and my team. But the thing is, like, with them, like, I only see them, like, I see my supervisor for supervision once a week for an hour. And then I see my team for our team meeting once a week for, like, an hour and 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And, like, those are sacred times. Those are times where I'm on the clock and I don't have to worry about clients necessarily. Like, I can just, like, talk to my team, or we can at least kind of, like, joke about things. Mm-hmm. And kind of just, like, lighten the mood, because it can be pretty heavy stuff sometimes. But it's, like, only 2 hours out of my typically over 40-hour work week.
Okay.
And then I come home sometimes. It's just not fun. So yeah, it's just stressful.
So it kind of sounds like that you have a supervisor and a team that are really supportive. Mm-hmm. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. I want to make sure that I'm getting this correctly. Your supervisor and your team are really supportive, and work is pretty stressful, but you really enjoy it. You really enjoy working. You really enjoy helping. But it can be a little stressful just because of the need that your clients may have. And just going from work stress to, like, home stress / confrontation, it can be a little stressful, because after leaving work, you want to go to an environment that's a little more relaxed, a little more, it just has a little less, like, tension sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, that's spot on. Because it's just like when I do come home and, like, they're not talking, like, I want to go home and talk about my day, or, like, hear about their days, and just, like, not just be sitting with the thoughts of my day sitting over. Like, it doesn't help also, like, with my job, nothing's ever done. Like, I can create a to-do list for my day, but there's always something to be doing, some agency I can be calling, some advocacy I can be doing. It's just, it never stops. And so it's just like, if I'm sitting by myself, I'm not able to talk to someone, hear someone, like, it's rough. And at some point, I get tired of Netflix. It's cool. Mm-hmm. I can binge watch it all the time. Mm-hmm. but it's not like the same as like talking to other people. Like the majority, especially like when roommates are like arguing, like not talking to each other, like maybe 93% of my like, communication or interaction is like with my clients. And so it's just like, it's not a lot of like me just being able to be me, I guess, if that makes any sense.
Okay. So it kind of sounds like that you're kind of longing for a positive, not work-related kind of connection with someone, and not just only connecting or talking to people while at work, because that can kind of be a little stressful because you are having to put on your professional voice or your professional face, or just carry yourself with professionalism, and sometimes you just want to just kind of let loose and just have just a regular conversation.
Yeah.
And that's where you're looking for when you get home, and whenever your roommates are arguing, it's just a little harder to have those kind of connections because they're just feuding. So then you're left to watch Netflix.
Yeah, that's like precisely it. Like, and also kind of like with that, it's just like when they are feuding, like not only am I dealing with the conflicts of my clients going on, because like when I talk to them, it's like we try to focus on housing, but typically like they'll also talk about like family issues. Like I'm kind of like mini counseling also, and so it's just like mini counselor at work, and when I get home, I'm also mini counselor, and then for me and my self-care, like I'm a mini counselor, it's just there's no like real like interaction, like no time for. I guess there could be time for hobbies, but it's just like I don't know, like hobbies are great, but it's not really what I want. Like kind of like what you say, where like I guess crave like that human connection. Like 10 out of 10 would be fantastic. Positive relationships. And I kind of get that for the most part with my roommates. Especially Amber. Like, Kelly tends to not get home till 7, and she's more of a social butterfly in the sense that she's not constantly out with her friends, but she gets out pretty often, so I don't get to hang out with her as much. But, like, with Amber, like, we bond over, like, watching anime, and, like, maybe we'll bake or cook dinner for each other or something like that. So, I mean, it's cool. So, I get it sometimes, but maybe just not like the way I want it sometimes, I guess. I'm saying sometimes a lot, but you know, it's whatever. Sometimes. It'd be like that.
You mentioned your self-care a little earlier. Can you kind of tell me what are some of the self-care routines that you've established, if any?
Yes. So, super important. Like, people in my field, super like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like it's just heavily talked about, especially in my field, because like if we don't self-care, like you will burn out. You will. So I guess like for me, self-care looks like taking care of my plants. I have a lot of them. I think I have like 18. So it's like taking care of my plants, or even just like petting my cats and things like that. And like when things get super rough, like my self-care can just look like sitting in my shower and crying. I love it. It's kind of like a meditation almost. It's like not only like for me, crying is self-care, just in the sense that it helps me feel like a lot of release. Okay. So it's not like necessarily like I feel so sad I'm crying because I'm sad, but it's like it just helps me like release a lot of like emotions. And so I'm doing it in the shower. It's getting out that way, but also I can just like imagine like all my stuff just going down the drain, and like I'm also literally being cleansed, and so it's like
that's great.
That's probably my ultimate self-care.
Yeah, it's great that you've kind of established your self-care, because it's very important, and the fact that you've kind of thought about that you've have in place some self-care is pretty good. Would you also say that you would you include human interaction as self-care whenever you do get that? Do you think that that's pretty relaxing for you?
I think that human interaction can be part of my self-care, and I want it to be, but I don't think it is right now. Like with my roommates, I do get to hang out with them, and when things are good, like it is like a pretty good form of self-care. But I just feel like I haven't, like my roommates are great and I love them as friends, but I don't think I've found like that friend in my life that like gets me. Like with my roommates, I can like talk about like my day, they can talk about their day, we can go watch Netflix, and like that's it. Like, cause we really can't like even then, like we can talk about our days, but after that it's like, this is kind of awkward, let's put on Netflix. Like that's kind of, like it's not said,
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of what happens. And so, like, I think if I met that person or that group of people that I just really click with, and just, like I don't need to watch Netflix with them to bond with them, like, I can just, like, really just talk to them about things, would be great. I think that would be, like, a good, like, I think that would be self-care for me.
Okay, so you're kind of feeling like that if you were to find, like, a group of friends or a friend that you maybe didn't live with, that you could gel or kind of connect with, that would be a really good form of self-care for you, you feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you started kind of looking for that friendship, or do you have anyone in mind?
I do, kind of. So I actually got on Bumble. It's like Bumble BFF. So it's kind of like those like Tinder things, like where you swipe on people, which is actually kind of weird. I feel really weird like swiping on potential like friends, because anyone can be a good friend probably. Like, how are you going to judge your friend off of their picture? But I did it anyways. But I did meet like one person. I haven't met them yet, but they seem like someone that like really just like gets me, who like I can probably like really like talk to you on like a deeper kind of level, but also like be silly with. But at the same time, like, I don't know, because I haven't met her yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally, we've been talking for, like, a week or something, but, you know. So I think it's possible, like, and I definitely, like, want to try that. Maybe also, like, without an app, like, I could just say hi to people, like a regular person, maybe. But yeah. Yeah.
Do you feel as if well, I noticed that you said that you could say hi to people. Are you typically not a very talkative person?
No. I mean, I can be, but I've noticed that, like, I'm not the greatest at conversation. Like, if I am talking to a talker, we can talk forever. But if I'm talking to a non-talker like myself, it can get awkward. Like, we can talk about, kind of like with my roommates, where it's like we can talk about, like, how our day is going. Like, what do you do for work? What are you studying in school? What did you study in? Like, we can talk about those basic kind of small talk things, but beyond that, it's kind of like, oh, this is awkward. I don't know what to do with you anymore. I'm sorry.
Okay. So do you feel as if your, like, lack of being able to carry on a conversation past the basics thus far, do you think that could kind of tie into your desire to want to have that, like, personal connection with someone other than your clients? Because with your clients, you kind of have to go a little bit past the basics, and they're doing a lot of the talking from what you've